redneck, 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 choo, 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 choo.
Well, the boys around here don't listen to the Beatles run. Old Bo Cephas threw a jukebox needle at the honky-tonk where their boots stomp.
That's the honky-tonk.
What? Yeah, and what they call work a digging in the dirt. Gotta get it in the ground before the rain come down to get paid, to get your girl and your four-wheel drive. Yeah, the boys round here drinking that ice-cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Chew tobacco, chew tobacco, chew tobacco, spit. Oh, heck. Well, the boys around here, they're keeping it country. Ain't a damn one know how to do the Dougie. No, I'm not in Kentucky, but these girls around here, yep, they still love me. Yeah, the girls around here, they all deserve a whistle. Shaking that sugar sweet as Dixie Crystal. They like that yawling southern drawl and just can't help it 'cause they just keep falling for the boys around here. Drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys around here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Chew tobacco, chew tobacco,
Chew tobacco, chew tobacco, chew tobacco, spit.
Let's ride through the countryside.
Let's ride.
Hey now, girl, hop inside. It's me and you gonna take a little ride to the river. Let's ride. That's right. Lay a blanket on the ground. Kissing in the crickets is the only sound. We out of town. Have you ever got down with a do you wanna get down with a girl, you gotta get down with the boys round here, drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Chew tobacco, chew tobacco, chew tobacco. I'm one of them boys round here, drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Chew tobacco, chew tobacco, chew tobacco, spit.
Welcome to the WINGIT call, July 19th, 2016. It's a Tuesday, and I just want to let everybody know that the person you heard was Pastor, because he called it and didn't mute himself, and I'm going to tell him not to quit his day job. That's the one you heard there about chew tobacco, spit. So, Pastor, you're unmuted.
Hey, I was
Take it
telling
away.
myself that sounds just like Rick singing.
Don't give up your day job. Yeah, go ahead.
My brother. All right. Well, listen to me. I want to pray, everybody. Let's gather together and just lift our need of receiving and the blessing of the Lord upon every person listening. Father, in Jesus' name, we just ask you to bless this time. Bless Jerry McGuire, Lord, as he gives information along with everything else he does, his opinions and insight, along with everybody else, with the wingman, with Art, and with everybody. Lord, bless this time. For every hearing ear, let there be a listening heart behind it. I thank you for it now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So I'm going to go ahead and mute you out here. That way you won't have any issues. And I'll do my disclaimer here. We are not attorneys. We're not financial advisors. We're not CPAs. We're not giving legal advice. And for the rest of the this is not to be received as any financial advice. So if you would, please go to the wingitcall.com and you'll find a disclaimer tab. Please click on that and you'll get the rest of the disclaimer. So where to start? Oh, star 2 to raise your hand, please. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of people are talking behind the scenes about things that are going on. But what really matters to us at this point is when we are told to go to the bank. Everything else we have talked to death, but we're going to provide you with some intel today. But I'm just telling you, there's nothing really out there. If you think about it, there's a lot of some old things have a new twist. They're calling new intel, but it's pretty much the same. We're there, it's done. But some of the things we are looking at, and I'm going to have Wingman kick it off here in just a second. Let me see here. Make sure. Oh, wait a minute. I defer to my elders first. Art, take it away.
Your
You're
elders.
unmuted.
Your elders. Holy mackerel. I guess I might be. So that was the guy that was singing chew tobacco, chew tobacco, chew tobacco, spit. I was wondering who that was. I said, it don't sound like Jerry. So, Ben, you want him to keep his day job? You think he just might not cut it as a singer? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, it's implied, not necessarily mentioned.
Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon to everybody, yourself and the pastor and the wingman and everybody out there. It's a great day. I don't have, like you say, there's not much out there. It's a done deal, and we're just waiting on 800 numbers. I did hear a little bit ago, and that from a pretty good source, that the GCR was made official today. Now, I thought it was already official, but this person claimed, no, it's made official today, and person says, where's our 800 numbers? I said, I don't know. We're wondering the same thing, so I don't know. So whatever you got, it'll be good to add with that, but that's all I got. We're just waiting like everybody else, and so I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Art. Oh, come on. Oh, please. There we go. Wayman.
Yes.
How are you doing today? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Doing very good.
Hey, I sent you an email with some questions. I didn't know if you got that way you could
Email or
follow
text?
along here. Email. I emailed it to
Oh, I can go pick it off the computer.
So would you like to kick it off with Barkley?
Yeah. Sunday's always an interesting day to read Bloomberg because it's when they let everybody who wanted to get in on prime time do their thing. Anyway, Sunday there was an article on Bloomberg, and it was about Barclays' valuation of the current bond market. It was an aggregate stacked bar chart, which was fascinating because what it showed was over the course of this year, it showed the bond yields starting to falter. And if you remember, there's been a lot of talk about, we need the bond market to fail to kick all this thing off. Well, we don't want it to fail, but that would be one thing that would kick it off.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What type of bonds? Because people might be a little confused about that.
They were international and sovereign bonds. So they were the bonds that countries sell on behalf of themselves. Invest in my country. I'm going to pay you back X amount of money in so many years.
These would be what we call the high finance bonds, where the rubber meets the road.
You got it. These are the things that truly back the banking system worldwide.
Okay.
Any rate, so starting on June the 15th, negative yields started to appear in that bond market. And they've been growing steadily ever since June 15th. And as of July 15th, which was the closing date of the data on this chart, there were literally 29% of the bonds, the sovereign bonds out there, were in a negative yield. Another 20% were in a 0 to 1% yield. And another 20% on top of that were only in a 1 to 2% yield. And if you do the math, you get an interest rate has to at least match the inflation rate, or you're losing money. And if you're going to make any money on an investment, you've got to do better than inflation. So even if you're making 2%, big deal. You're treading water. But that 29 plus 20 and 20. Let's just call it 70% because we want to weight opinion in our favor instead of 69%. But fully 70% of the bond market was underperforming or downright failing. And that was the first, what I would call mainstream evidence that I've seen from a mainstream player. Barclays isn't one to poo-poo the thing they make money at. It showed that the bond market was indeed in a shambles. And that follows right along with all the other high-level intel we've been collecting. But, we're all kind of skittish these days on what we hear from various intel providers because it turns out not to be correct. Any rate, bottom line is big black and white proof that the bond market is failing. And we all know, and if we don't, I will tell you now, this is common belief. Remember, the bonds support the stock market. The bonds are how the banks make their money, long-term money, big money. So if the bond market's in the outhouse, then all of this hoopla about the stock market being, its highest ever, well, it is in value, but it's not in volume. It's being artificially propped up. Just a huge sign that things have to change and change quickly. And certainly if Barclays came out with that and put it on in a Bloomberg, and Bloomberg did an article on it, then the people who are really doing the planning and moving and the shaking out there, they know this too, and they know that it's the end of their game. So with that, let me to okay. Go ahead.
I sent you a text. I sent you a text. If you would review that while I got a few things that I need to read, and then if you've got if you can give somebody sent that to me, one of my personal contacts, and wanted your opinion on it. So read that and let me do my thing here. So the bonds Ico's talking about are worldwide bonds, country.
Unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I'm glad. No. I just got a text here. I would. No, I'm talking to the person that texted me. I would, but here's the explanation. We would supply you with that link, but Bloomberg or somebody has already pulled that link because we went looking, or ICO went looking for it, and it's gone. So they pulled that already.
Yes, but it was there on Sunday, and it was there for a reason.
Right. So it's one of those, hey, we told you about it. You weren't paying attention. Sucks to be you if you didn't catch it, but we told you about it.
Exactly.
They do things like that. Hey, we made an announcement at 2:00 in the morning on PBS, the sister station in South Dakota, Sioux City, South Dakota, but sorry if you didn't catch it, but we did announce it. Things like that. Kind of like the administration likes to do things on a Friday evening, late Friday or Thursday, and then has all weekend. And so come Monday morning, it's absorbed into the system, and it's just another thing. It's water underneath the bridge. Don't worry about it. But that's a whole nother subject.
Yep.
What else?
Yep.
What else? I got some more. Let me see. I had this sent to me in the WINGIT email. Yes, I hit the recording button. Thank you for reminding me, though.
CIBC?
Yeah, did you read it?
Yeah. I mean, it's just this really hits home because this is in our backyard.
Okay. You might want to explain to them read the heading or something, and rather than just hit right in, because they don't know what I sent you.
Okay, so this is an announcement, or this is it's a who is it? It's CBC Business. Okay, CIBC, which is the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. Okay, they just issued their first negative yield bond for the first time. Now you got to understand this, guys. They're saying, give us $100.54, and we'll give you back $100 when this bond matures in 2022. So they're saying our economy's going in the outhouse, but at least you can tread water, maybe a little negative interest to cover costs, but they're literally asking people to give them money, and they're not going to get all their money back. And this is a bond. This is supposedly an investment. I mean, that's just astounding. And it's one thing that to hear about it and read about it, but it sure is another to after what Barclay posted on Sunday and what we've been hearing about all weekend, and suddenly here's another one, and it's from Canada. It might as well be from us. That is bad news for investors, and terrible news for the market, and terrible news for the reinsurance companies like Lloyd's of London, and on and on and on. So I would say my conclusion here is I am no longer taking the collapse of the bond market with any grain of salt. The past few days have convinced me that it really is in big trouble, and if they don't do something about it, which the only fix that's out there is the RV/GCR, we're going to be in a real pickle. And we might be in a real pickle real quick, like this week, which is what I wanted to continue with, Jerry, was the G20 meeting in China, which starts tomorrow night. Or actually starts
not till Friday. Yeah,
Thursday
night.
Thursday night for us. It's Thursday night for us. I believe that everybody has had their come to Jesus meeting. The PTB, everybody, the whole gang has finally decided. Okay, we've done as much as we can with this fiat system. The jig is up. We've got to move into the new world economy. We've got to move into the GCR, and I think that's what that meeting is, to get the G20, which is the 20 top industrialized nations, on board and singing the same tune. And it's fascinating to me that it's being held in China. Christine Lagarde is going to be there. The IMF is going to be there. And just in case you haven't heard, the IMF is not our friend. It's not anybody's friend anymore.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you're being sarcastic. Yeah. Well, you remember the IMF was on our side 3 years ago. They were going to make this thing happen for us. You know, so the IMF
you got to remember
the bag man.
Yeah, Christine Lagarde, all of her bosses are going to be in China with her. She's just the puppet.
That's right.
She's the puppet.
Yes, and again, I think the Chinese are going to close the doors and say, "Okay, guys, this is the new world order. Like it or leave it, but this is what's happened." You know, and I can say from my own intel that I would expect an announcement very soon coming out of the Arab Emirates saying that they are no longer accepting USD for oil, or if they are, it's going to be a real inflated price because the US dollar is worthless on the world stage. All these things that we've been hearing about over the past 6 months, that sometimes you hear them and you think, well, you know, that could be true, or well, that's so and so exaggerating his position. All of these financially negative facts are now coming together, and you know, it's a double-edged sword. It's great for us. It means the rates are going to be good. It means it's going to be happening pretty soon. I'm not going to say when, but it's all there. We're in the sweet spot again for the RV/GCR to occur. The problem is, because the selfish bastards who run things have stretched it out another 6 months, it's going to be ugly for our friends and neighbors, people who are not part of this currency transition. You know, people are very proud. And I would encourage you to talk to your friends post-RV and see how they're doing. And, you know, a lot of people won't take charity. They won't take gifts. They won't take money, because it's always seen as un-American to take money when you're down and out. But one of the things that I'm saying to people that I intend to help is, no, you don't understand. I got all this money specifically to help people get through this transition. I've set aside funds to help people get through this transition. I told how should I put it? Let's just call it the investment counselors, that I wanted to set aside money to help people out, and I got a better rate because I said I would do that, which I believe may be true. If you go in to the bank and you say that part of my plan here is I'm setting aside whatever, 5% of my funds, 10% of my funds to help extended family and friends, you know, to help out my community with services. I think they're going to need it now. I think it's going to be messy for a while. And that's just my personal opinion. But you know, you can look at the area that you're in. Look where you live. What's the poverty level? You know, what are the income levels? And guaranteed, low income concentrations are going to be hit really hard for a little while until we begin to reach parity and the asset-backed currencies really start to take hold. So I got in my black and white and also my preaching, Jerry. So that's it. I'll shut up now.
Okay. So here's a little bit more. Clearly, the stock market collapse is imminent, but the bonds diving into negative yields is not slowing, placing most major banks at risk of collapse very soon. The typical rhetoric across the board, like Bank of America year over year, profits are down 21%, but hey, we beat the analyst expectations. Wonder what they're smoking. So stock surges up. Either these analysts are sandbagging their estimates for stock pricing manipulation. No, tell me it's not so. Or they are the dumbest analysts in history. This coincidence of the bond and stock market sitting in dangerous positions, banks are fearing imminent collapse, oil price weakness, political conventions in disarray, unusually linked terrorist attacks, military coups, talking about Turkey, that are not coups,
Coup.
major G20 and coup, whatever.
Get your French right.
The major, get my French right. Major G20 in China. What's that? What's that I hear? Oh,
Right.
opportunity seems to be knocking. Interesting. Interesting. So, wait a minute. Did you get that email that I sent you?
I did. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. I want to read this because this email that I received through the WINGIT really does say it all for everybody. It's a little lengthy, so bear with me. It says, "Dear Jerry, first of all, I'm not going to give my name or the exact location of where I live, but I do live in New England, and I will leave my phone number since I get a text message from you about your calls. A friend of mine that is in the banking business told me about this currency exchange in hopes of making my life better than it is now. I get intel updates and whatnot from this person. I get excited every time I hear that we are getting close to exchanging the currency, the Zim dinar and other currencies, into this new gold-backed dollar. I was also told the cabal is in control, so we can do this. Well, who is controlling who here? The last intel report that I got was that the exchange and 800 phone numbers were to happen on Saturday night, then Sunday morning. Guess what? It didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because the cabal won't let it happen. Why else? The cabal manufactured something to stop the exchange from happening. They did small print, and I don't read small print very well, even with my magnifiers. Spent too much time welding. All I have to do is Google exchange rates for the Zim, and I get all sorts of news that the exchange has happened in Iraq, some in South American countries and other places in the world, and still it hasn't happened here. Now the new exchange window is between today and Thursday. Will it happen this time? I'm willing to bet the answer will be no. Why? Because the cabal will make something up or will do something to make sure it does not happen. These are people's lives they are playing with, and the cabal does not care one bit, as long as they can stay right with fiat money and stay in power. That rolls hand in hand with what I've been saying about power and money. They're losing their money-making machine, and they're trying to figure out, and they've had a long time, how to figure out how to find some little niche in this new game coming up. And trust me, they do. But with the bonds we talked about, we're getting closer to that magical moment. Because now, and I've said before, in high finance, until we get into their pocketbook, or it gets into their pocketbook, nothing's going to happen. Well, their pocketbook, they're starting to feel the squeeze or the pinch. So they lost a couple billion, 10, 20 billion. To them, that's chump change. Hell, I'll spend that buying a country. But they're losing money. And so to slow the bleed down, maybe we better sit down and listen to this. That's my opinion. So here's some more. I'm getting tired of hearing intel that gets my hopes up only for that intel to be completely wrong, and my hopes and dreams are crushed time and time again. It's getting to the point where I want to consider calling Wells Fargo, make an appointment, exchange my bills for whatever rate they're going for today. I could care less right now if one Zim equaled 150 USD. It would make me a quadrillionaire. When I use rate exchangers that I find on Google, I can get north of 200 billion. Would feel somewhat okay, maybe, I might regret it later, but that's how I feel right now. I do not know who the powers at be are that are controlling the 800 phone numbers and the currency exchange, but I wish they would tell the cabal to go to hell, put the 800 numbers out, get this thing over with once and for all. I know that those with millions and millions of fiat dollars don't want this to happen, though. I don't care. It's time to put the gold-backed dollar into circulation, period. I'm mad and frustrated, and I don't know what to do anymore. So I'm thinking, Iko, that says quite a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Let me say on to the questions.
There's a lot of butts in there.
Yes.
You know, here, look, guys, the bottom line, the bottom line is this has nothing to do with 13 million Americans. It has everything to do with 6 billion people. Is it 6? I don't even know. What's the world population now?
High.
Yeah, high. It's up there. It has to do with the entire planet getting its financial act together so that we can all survive. And if you want to go way out on a limb, you know, we're an organism, and survival is the prime directive. It's the number one instinct. Okay? Survival followed by eating, followed by procreation. That's it. That's who we are when you melt everything down and get rid of our power of reasoning. The organism needs to survive, and the organism will figure out a way to survive. It may not be pretty. You know, we got a lot of big problems facing us very, very soon. And the powers that be, even though some of them are just plain evil, some of them are just plain stupid because they've had a run of 300 or 400 years as a family group. They really are understanding that the change has to come because it's their survival too. Now, they're arrogant enough to think that they can manipulate the new system to their advantage. And part of our job is going to be to show them that they can't. Things have to change that drastically. But I just want to encourage you. I know the wait is frustrating. We can all use the money. You know, some people are getting kicked out of their homes. Some people, you know, have already been kicked out of their homes. They've got no savings. They're at retirement age. They can't find another job. You know, you name it. The problems are out there. But we have to understand how universal this issue is right now, and also post-RV, to remember the pain and remember the suffering and remember to get active and do something about it. Don't huddle like the wealthy do now. Don't huddle with your millions and your billions and buy a few toys and put up a wall. That's not going to work. Sorry, I'm very I'm real preachy today.
Are you?
On these
You're
questions,
just passionate.
I'm
You're
passionate.
just passionate about. Yes.
On these questions, Chair, that these first 5. I mean, we're sort of dancing around all of these questions, except for one, which is kind of specific. But
well, one we've already addressed. We've addressed number one outright already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 2.
And number 2. Yeah, we are hearing from contacts. We're hearing from bank contacts, solid on the ground contacts, people in exchange centers. They weren't sequestered. They were asked to come in on Saturday and work. Now, what they did, I don't know. The contact that I have has an NDA a mile long, and that person doesn't want to go to jail. But they do confirm the rumors we're hearing. They're getting ready to attack this thing again. I think that's the general statement from the banks. The banks need the money. Banks are completely done. If you hear something about a computer glitch, that's horse poop in my estimation. They're ready to go. They're just waiting. They're just waiting for the major green light from whoever it is shining that light. And I'd like to address
on which one?
Go ahead. No, number 3.
Oh, well, that's one I was going to pick on. So no, I was not on the Intel call last night with Admin Bill, but it doesn't say that I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So and can I share?
Well,
Nothing.
I was on the call, and I've shared what I brought to the call, which is mine, which I can share. But everyone was very adamant about, keeping a tight lip around the ship. Just because fragmented information, everybody gets to then form their own opinion, and it goes through their filter. So it gets out of control very quickly. But I think, what I can share is I'm very enthusiastic this week. I think we've hit another sweet spot. I don't know exactly what the schedule is, but I will tell you from my own analysis that this G20 meeting in China is highly significant, if not the big neon sign, in the sky saying, hey, guess what? We're here. We're doing it. Why would they meet in China? Number one, it's an unscheduled meeting. Number two, what we know about these G20 summits and these G20 meetings is that usually everything's already been decided and negotiated prior to the meeting. They just get together and formalize it. Number 3. So that's my perspective on the G20 meeting. And I think that's all I want to say.
Here's my perspective on the G20, this emergency meeting. The boss said, bring your butt over here in the house now. We're going to get all this straightened out. This is it. And I'm going to tell you how it's going to go. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's mine too.
That's
mine too. I'll take the redneck version on that one.
Okay. Let's see. How about number 7?
Okay. Well, hold on. My printer stopped at number 5 for some reason. Am I out of paper here?
You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, go ahead and read it. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. We'll start with number 8. The G20 meeting in Shanghai on July 22nd to the 24th will have all central banks represented. My understanding is the GCR will be released prior to the end of that meeting. What say you? I'm hoping it's released before then because the bond market is going negative. The sovereign bond market, the high finance bond market is going negative. So number 7 is, we've all heard the $100 trillion Zimbabwe notes will be dropping 6 zeros. We go to exchange, which will make it 100 million times the negotiated rate. For example, 100 million times 3 cents equals 3 million. We've also heard that during the exchange, they will not drop any zeros off the $1 million notes. So one could conclude that any note above 100 million are worth more than a $100 trillion note. Yes. For example, the 200 million note at 3 cents is 6 million. Correct. My question is, it doesn't make sense that the lower Zimbabwe notes are worth more than the billion or $1 trillion notes. Have you heard if there's any different rate for the $1 million notes? You've answered your own question. So, depending on the denomination, they will be worth more than the $100 trillion note.
Yeah, I've got a slightly different angle on all that. No,
Well,
nobody's ever been able to confirm the way we've confirmed other inside information about the 6-0 lop, about the rate, about what the conditions are, depending on what the rate is.
We've heard people say that when they've got an SKR that it was just dropping 6 off the trillion, 3 off the billion, and none off the million.
Right. Right.
But until we get into the exchange,
there you go. Yeah, that's what I want to reinforce.
All that we've heard is subject to change when we get there. So, what have I always said? Be flexible. Have your depends moment before you get there many times, so that when you do walk in the door, you don't look like a wide-eyed deer in the headlights. You're there for business. So that's
clearly the Zim. The Zim is is everybody's focus because it's the biggest ROI. I mean, it's an outrageous ROI, return on investment. And I think that there's the confusion level has been really tailored to remain confusing. But we've all gone through these scenarios now. You should, if you haven't, make yourself a little cheat sheet and just say, if they drop 6 zeros off and the rate is 11 cents, that gives me $11 million on this. If they drop 3 zeros off, because it's going to be confusing, guys. They're going to be practiced at this exchange meeting. You've had no practice. All you can do is plan. So if you have these little things in front of you to help jog your memory and help construct your logic and your argument in that meeting, that's really going to help, because this is going to be the one. Remember, one shot at this. This is one shot. So you really have to be as prepared as possible for the different scenarios. If you're going in there with the idea that you're going to wing it, you're probably not going to get the best deal out there. This is the one that you need to concentrate on and really go over the different scenarios. What if they say this? What if they say that? What if they say you can keep 20%? We'll give you this, and you can only keep 20% of it for personal use, and 80% has to go to philanthropic ventures. There's 100 different scenarios they could throw at you, and you've got to be able to think on your feet and calculate right there. So, if you're concerned about maximizing your Zim investment, you do need to sit down and study it, repeat it, even practice in front of the mirror. You'd be amazed if you ask yourself a question in front of the mirror, and then start to answer it and look at your face and what your face is saying, not what your mouth is saying, but what your face is saying. It's a great exercise. It really is. It's a big help. So, enough said on that, but it's
all right. Well, here we go. We're gonna take some callers now. We're gonna run a little long today because by an extra 15 minutes, so we can give callers their chance. Middletown, Delaware, 302. Come on down.
Hello, guys. You maybe have, in a odd way, have answered my question. I was going to ask you, for most of us, guys like you in this call are our intel calls where we gather information. And obviously, since I'm on this call and taking, and on the phone with you, I give you guys a lot of high snaps for the information that you get. But when you guys are gathering intel, how do you discern whether or not not the person that you're gathering intel from is telling you the truth, but whether or not the information they have hasn't been tampered with, or disinformation that they are receiving? It must be so difficult. How do you guys determine when you're getting something that's good and when you're getting something that's off a little bit?
It's the genius
Psycho?
The company I used to own, we used to call it the genius factor. It's an accumulated experience. We used to. It's cut down. It's cut down over the last month, but for a while there, we'd be on 10, 15 calls a day from different people claiming they heard this, that, and the other thing. And patterns do emerge, and you start to recognize that you're hearing the same intel that so and so told you. Now this other person is telling you with a little bit of their own twist on it, but you get that it was the same source 3 intel calls ago that everybody's now quoting and coming up with as an original piece of intel. I'm repeating myself. It's an accumulated experience level, and you start hearing the same things, and you start recognizing that if you hear a piece of intel that sounds plausible, if you hear it from 3 or 4 people and verify that their sources are different, okay, like for example, everybody got called into the exchange centers. Well, anybody can make that statement. But if you know one person in an exchange center that you can verify it with, and then somebody else says, well, they know somebody in Wells Fargo, and you know somebody in Chase, and somebody else knows somebody in Bank of America, then you can surmise that that's a real piece of intel. And that goes for all kinds of things. We're all pretty much sold on what the currency rates are now. The only one in question is the ZIM, and even that has finally kind of leveled off to a couple of possibilities. One is low teens, what we'll call an international rate, and then one that might be, a little bit above $1, which we'll call the contract rate. But when you hear that from enough people, that makes business sense. That could actually, if you think in your mind, that can actually happen. That can actually be true. And you get it from enough varied sources, then you can make a decision on it. But it really it's been an immersion process, really, wading through a ton of BS, and I mean a ton. And speaking for myself, I got taken in a few times, and I repeated it, and I hope I've corrected it, but it's been a learning process, and unfortunately, we are amateurs. Now I'd say we're what's the word? Educated consumers. But it's just if Jerry or I, I'll speak for Jerry too. If Jerry or I say something on this call, then it's we've decided after a lot of discussion amongst ourselves and also with our varied contacts that, you know what, this seems to be a piece of black and white information. Does that help?
Yes. And more than anything else, I would just wanted to say thank you for the article that you brought about Barclays, that chart. That was very encouraging. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a real that was a goal, that one, or a touchdown, whatever you want to call it. And I actually love the fact that they got rid of it. That it was there, it was there on Sunday. I went to it several times and studied it, and then Rick, another person asked me to go find it today, and I went to look for it, and it was gone, it vanished. Bloomberg search engine turned up nothing on it. So, yeah.
Thanks to both of you. Just appreciate it. I really do. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Gary, you there?
Hello? Hello?
Hey, Gary, you're not coming through well.
Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Chula Vista, we hear you. Star 2 to raise your hand if you want to ask a question. Go ahead,
Is
Chula
that me?
Vista.
Is that
Yes,
me?
sir.
Oh, great. Actually, one of my questions was in your queue, and unfortunately you didn't get to it, so I maybe get to ask two, but the significant one has to do with this. Number one, I'm predicate my thoughts on the belief that banks are not my friends. I don't believe that anything that has to do with money has the banks being kind and generous and doing things in favor of me. They're clearly trying to make money. With that said, I'm concerned about something. If indeed it becomes time to exchange, and I go and take whatever currency I have and take it to a bank and exchange it, and the bank is sort of inclined to exchange my currency for fiat money, doesn't that mean that if indeed the market falls apart, my say $1 million that I get becomes over time on a very brief period of time? Doesn't that become like $250 or $70 or whatever $1,000, which then becomes subject to being taken over by the banks? Meanwhile, the banks take the currency that they've gotten from me and exchange it somewhere in China or somewhere else for a real asset-backed money. Am I wrong in assuming that is a possible scenario here?
Go ahead, Iko.
Let's just use $1 million because that's a nice round figure. Okay, so you exchanged and you got $1 million fiat money. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you simply left it in the bank, or actually in your trust, remember, trusts are important here, but if you left it alone, it would be subject to hyperinflation, but once everybody is asset backed, it comes back. The value comes back. The problem is the time period. Is it 6 months or is it 2 years before the value returns and you actually have increased your buying power because all the world markets have reached parity. So it's not like it. Again, personal opinion. I agree with you. The banks are in this. This is a business transaction. Okay, they're not doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. They have a selfish interest, but their selfish interest is to keep you whole in this process because it makes them whole in the new world economy. So I don't think you would lose your money. Your money would lose value for a certain period of time, but then it would come back even stronger if you simply did nothing with it, but stuck it in a basic savings account, whatever.
But excuse me for interrupting you. Please follow up on the second part of that question, and that is what used to be what is the buy-in policies, the new things that have been written for banks that allows them to, under conditions of stress, go into people's bank accounts. This could be wrong. I'm not sure, but address that because whatever I have left, isn't that subject to having to take it?
Okay. There is a lot of fine print around what type of account they're allowed to use in a buy-in. And that you're going to have to get legal advice on because I'm not even clear on which accounts there are. But I will tell you this: we're going to have time not a lot of time, but we're going to have time to consult experts and maneuver our funds so that they are protected. And some of the ways that have been suggested is, purchase other foreign currencies, especially the basket currencies. The reserve currencies, like the rupee, like the yuan, and there's others. The Mexican peso. There's going to be ways to protect your money, and if you don't get a satisfactory answer from your banker, then go drop a dime on a high level, Deloitte and Touche, somebody who really knows their stuff, their worldwide stuff. You're gonna spend for that financial advice, but it's gonna yield you tremendous returns on the back end. But there will be time to protect our funds and make sure they are not in any kind of jeopardy. But again, it's one step at a time. And do your research.
Let me. This call falls into the second part, and I don't want to take too much time. So, excuse me for interrupting you and everybody listening. But the questions I'm asking really are about all of us. So I apologize for as much time as it's.
No, it's a good question. It should be a concern of everyone. Yes.
Okay. Well, the second part of it has to do with the grander sense of what's going on. It goes back to some of the comments you've already kind of addressed, and I have too. But the second part has to do with this whole process. Why is it that we've gone from a period, I've been around this whole process for about 5 or 6 years now, and it seems to me that we've morphed from people like Tony and yourselves giving good information about what's going on and helping the public at large to prepare for this whole new thing that's never happened before, and the $400 quadrillion that's going to be moved, which is about $52 million per human on the planet. And in answer to your question, there's 7.3 to 7.4 billion people on the planet right now. But to answer that and to address that, why is it that all of a sudden in the last little while, from things I've even heard over the airwaves recently about people being intimidated by people walking up and saying, I'm from the ISIS whatever, and I know where you are, and that sort of stuff. Why is it that the public is not essentially being, in the broadest terms, protected by the process? Why are we having to filter through? Why are we having to find our way and get our little headlamp on our helmet and go through the cave when indeed all this information is out there? The banks know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time. Why is it that we, the American public especially, are the last ones to know? I don't get that.
Because we're the smartest, and they want to keep us confused. There are good and bad reasons for all the confusion. Okay, but the last thing you need in this process is a unified mob, because the mob mentality is always destructive. That's human nature. We have been kept in the dark, confused, fed misinformation, fed real information, specifically to remain controlled.
Yes.
That's what's going on. The killer is, it's both the white hats and the black hats doing this. Everybody fears a unified group like this because, as we said earlier, the game hasn't been established yet. The new rules aren't out there. They don't even really know what the new game is. They can only do computer models. It's like a global warming computer model or an earthquake computer model. What happens if we get a 9-factor earthquake on the San Andreas Fault? They just had a movie about it. Well, that's Hollywood, but nobody really knows. Nobody really knows what's going to happen now. And so the last thing they want is 13,000 multimillionaires as a group, acting as a group. I mean, we could clearly, if $13 million bucks. It only takes 5,000 NRA members a year to show up at demonstrations, and the NRA is a powerful, powerful lobby, whether you agree with them or not, because they show up. Imagine if 13 million millionaires showed up, started showing up, started not just writing their congressman, but showing up at their office and saying, hey, I need to talk to you. It's because we'll have the time to do that now. It's not like we're going to have to stay at our jobs. It's messy, and it's both good and bad, and that's the beauty of it, I guess. That's what excites me, is that it really is a new frontier. But I don't.
May I leave you with the notion that you are absolutely right, but that we as a corpus, as a collective, and by the way, I've spent some time in some very good schools, and I know that there are much modeling that can go on computerizedly. That'll give that
Right.
the people there, they really know exactly what's going on and what their contingencies are. But I would suggest to you that you're absolutely right. I think what we should be doing as Denarians and everyone else is sitting down and trying to reframe the model and recognize that if I really do want to help children learn, if I really do want to watch my brothers and sisters who are not necessarily nationalists and Americans, but are citizens of the world like myself, if I really do want to help everyone from veterans to everyone, I should be really thinking about us as a we, and I should really be thinking about how we go about recognizing that there's an orchestration of individuals who are out there trying to make sure that we don't work and act as a collective unit. They're frightened to death that we might actually get together and do something positive. And that's the only way we're going to survive. Excuse me, I didn't mean to preach. I'm asking you, but I'm almost I know the answer to this question. Thank you. We really do have to figure this out and start helping each other and get information out to each other and ask these questions, because clearly, speaking of the government and the banking system and whatever, we could have done this some time ago just by having a federal organ say, guess what, we've already got a building here, bring your money in, exchange it, you got it right there, and we'll have all this done, we have it accounted for, we've got the computers to do all that. This could have been done some time ago. Clearly, this is about obfuscation, and clearly this is about keeping all those poor people who are very busily going, hey, if I just get $1 million to buy my Ferrari, not understanding that this is much bigger than that. They'll let you buy a Ferrari, but they won't let you buy a school for children.
Okay, sir. I understand, but thank you very much. We could go on, but it's all about geopolitical power, money, and control. So thank you, sir.
So you're welcome. Thank you.
Jared, one tag on this. Being an activist is not necessarily a dirty word. It doesn't mean you have to be a hell-bent radical and disruptive. Being an activist is simply every day set a goal and every day do something that gets you closer to that goal. That's what good business people do. That's what good organizers do. That's what good philanthropic organizations
Absolutely.
do. Just
Alrighty.
one step every day, it'll get you there.
Frisco, Texas, 214. Come on down. One question, please.
Hello.
Hello,
Can
Frisco. Yes, that's you.
Hey, Jerry. How you doing? Yeah, Ico.
Good.
I got a question for Ico. In my listening and all this, man, I'm all over this. It's about the bonds, and I heard you talk a whole lot about it, and I really understand what's going on, and I'm all over y'all's G20 this weekend. Can you add what your opinion is about the public's part about help about the banks whenever right at the time the derivatives are marked as an asset now? Excuse me, I was in another room. I'm out of breath. But anyway, the derivatives, and will they go mark to market, wiped out, and then use our deposits to make the banks Basel III? Have you touched on that or heard anything about that?
Yeah. What you're saying is an oversimplification, and I'm not real qualified to give you the actual mechanics of it.
We're not that high up the totem pole.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
But
yeah.
But the general statement is the GCR, the RV and the GCR is going to zero out the derivatives and the derivative issue.
Right.
And because there's so much money involved, and the banks, which will then be basing all of their reporting and their valuation on asset-backed currency, will actually be able, in theory, to be valued properly. And this is one reason why the banks, it's in their best interest to give us the higher rates, because it goes directly to their bottom line, their value. And in the new asset-backed economy, if it's based on real value, that's gonna be where their strength comes from. So it's selfish of them to give us more money, but it's also in our best interest. Their selfish desire to get whole again is gonna make us a lot of money.
Well put. I agree, and I like what you say about us being rich leaders, and it's going to be the herd deal, and we can make a difference one person at a time. So I appreciate the conversation, and I'm going to go mute out to the next one. Jerry, thank you for the call and all you've done, and I've listened to every call since y'all started. That's all I got. Talk to you. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you for coming back after the last call. I guess people say I stuck my foot in it, but it was just speaking from the heart.
Well, you've done that a couple of times, and that's the way you're made. And I got my ups and downs myself, so I like it all. And God bless me with a bad memory. Hell, I can't remember yesterday. So,
well, no, now you know what CRS is, right?
What's that? Give me give me a Texas explanation.
Can't remember doo-doo.
Okay, I got TRS pretty bad. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't have CRS. I have CSR.
Oh,
can't simply remember.
Okay, we got that. Well, you got right. Enough. You had enough gumption to get this call started. My hat's off to both of you guys. And
thank you,
very
sir.
Well done, both of you. See you.
Thank you.
So, come on. There we go. So, I no longer have CRS. I have CSR. Can't simply remember. Houston, can you hear me now?
Hey, can you hear me, Jerry?
Yes, go ahead.
This is David.
Yes, sir.
Hi, how are you? Hey, I got a question. Good. Okay, my understanding the RV already happened, correct?
Don't know. No, don't know.
Okay, my question is, as far as the people that have the SKRs are waiting to be funded, they will not be able to be funded until we get the 800 numbers. Is that correct?
That's what we're being told. I'll say this. It's the shotgun effect. Nobody goes till we all go. Nobody goes first unless you're up there in the nosebleed seats where high politics is an area that we're not in. So
that would be the sky boxes, not the nosebleed seats.
Yeah, the sky boxes. Alrighty, is that?
Okay, what did Iko say? What did he say?
Sky boxes.
Oh no, I was just making fun of Jerry's analogy. Yeah.
Okay.
Sky boxes is where the rich folks are.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's my question. That's it, Jerry. Thank you for the call.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
So we're going to keep it down to one question. We got a little bit of time left here. See if we can't do rapid fire. Vallejo, come on down.
Hello,
Vallejo,
Jerry. Is that me?
California. That's you, ma'am.
Hi, Jerry. Hi, Arco. Hi, Wing It Man. My question was, and I'm not too sure if you guys saw this on Dinar Chronicle a couple of days ago, where there was a post of the three currency baskets. And in that post, they had the Iran Real in the third basket. Have you heard anything about that happening? That's my question.
Nope.
No, me neither.
And to be truthfully honest with you, we're not going to know till we get there. There's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and until we get there, darn it. Any way you want to think of, you won't know till you get there. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. North Bend, Washington. Come on down.
Well, here I am again. Thank you for taking my call, gentlemen. I'm going to lean on that can't remember anything excuse.
No. CSR. Can't simply remember.
Can't simply remember. All right, or understand. Let me put it that way. I'm embarrassed to ask this. I went after the last call. I went and I looked up and compared the price of the 100 trillion to the $50 million Zim. It was like $2 cheaper if I bought two of them. Or $500 million Zim. Anyway, my question is, how can the lower one be more valuable ultimately than the 100 trillion? I don't get it.
Okay, so it's a good question, and let me explain it. So business-wise, everybody wants to buy the $100 trillion Zim. We hear they're going to lop off 6 zeros, which in essence makes it a $100 million note. Cease thinking about it as a $100 trillion note. It's a $100 million note after they've dropped the zeros.
Okay.
So if you get a $200 million note, it's twice. You're going to get twice the return on your investment. But everybody wants the 100T notes, and so business-wise, I'm going to raise the price of those. I'm going to sell them to you, and I'm going to make money because I'm in this to make money. And then we started getting smarter, and then we started looking at the $1 million notes. And if you know where to go find them, you can get a pretty good deal on them versus either going to Templeton Collections or ZimbabweDollars.net, where everything is pretty expensive. There are other alternatives out there, and you want the ones with the 3 rocks, 2008, and I think the 2009 series AAAB. So if you've got one that's 500 million note, well, if you buy it for half the price or less of a 100T note, now inside that $500 million note, you have equal to 5 $100 trillion notes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I hope that answered your question.
And where would one find one of these $100 million notes?
You can look on the just Google it, and on the internet you'll try Amazon, eBay, but you want something bigger than $100 million notes, and you're going to find decent prices.
Thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome. Oh, here we go. I remember what happened last time I clicked on this one. Atlanta, Georgia. Come on down. 770. Come on down. Yes, sir.
Hello. Greetings.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, two things. The Zimbabwe note, 6-0 deletions on the trillion and the 3 on the billion was orchestrated through the Zimbabwe government when they were adjusting their currency values back then with all the trillions and, trying to get everything down to where they could handle it. That's where these numbers came from. It's not bankers or anybody else trying to, orchestrate what the values are. This was done in Zimbabwe. That's what I read at least 6 months ago from a Zimbabwe article. So that's what we heard.
Well, thank you,
that's
sir.
what I read. Second of all, the question I have, and this is with respect to everybody that's getting their brains beat in over this, we have a situation where so many people say this is the week, should happen because of the bonds, and realistically it should have happened before. But the question still comes to be, after the G20 meet, and these guys still haven't pulled the trigger, what's going to happen?
Well, it boils down to three options. You got into this to protect ourselves. It's a blessing to make money. I'm not going to say that I word because it's not an investment. It's a protection, and it's a growing of our finances. So in essence, you've got three things: wait, and wait. This is a test of patience, and personally, my patience, my will, is going to outlast theirs. It's hard to wait, but it's the only option I have.
Okay, well,
I know.
as I said before, I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and we can just only hope and pray that these guys get off their tails and get it done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Or was it this one? Fort Lauderdale, 754. Oh, come on. Just a second.
Okay.
There we go. Fort Lauderdale.
Can you hear me?
Get you unmuted. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. If ICO is still there, I want to ask him a question about the business with misinformation. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why would they lop off the zeros of a 100 trillion note when it says on there, pay to the bearer the amount? Is it possible that they're making us think that they're going to lop the zeros and that bill won't be worth anything with the hopes that people will stop buying it and buy the less of the denoms?
Iko, that's you. And thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Iko. Uh-oh. I know he's unmuted. He might be indisposed at the moment here. So, there you go.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Hello.
I think of it
Okay, go ahead.
I think at different times, the misinformation has been used for different purposes. They probably did slow down the sudden gold rush mentality around this. At other times, it's all our focal point. We're all really focused on what this does. So, at other times, it was about keeping the confusion level up. And this is why I keep saying you just gotta practice every scenario and be prepared for every scenario when you go in for that meeting, for that exchange meeting, and you're going to have to react then and there. And I got a feeling that's part of the reason the confusion is out there too, because they don't want just anybody walking away with a few $100 billion or even $100 billion. And I'll probably get yelled at for this, but I agree. not everybody who is holding 20 or 30 Zim notes is going to be capable of managing that money. They're just not. They're going to be taken advantage of. They're going to get conned. They're going to spend it on frivolous things. They're going to buy a private island somewhere in a 400-foot boat. And that's, I don't know. To me, that's not a good use of the money, but that's my personal opinion. I know we all have the right to do whatever we want to do with our funds, but the confusion around the Zim is going to continue right up until we walk into the bank. That I will guarantee.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, Pastor can't make it back. If you'll give and I've got a couple of things I want to address, but if you want to give a 30-second summation, Iko, and then we're going to pull it up here.
We really are in a fantastic place. I know we hear that all the time, but this one's more fantastic than the last one. It seems like the black and white intel is pointing toward total agreement by the different adversaries that they all get it's time to do this. There's a couple of theories out there on how they're going to roll it out, but in deference to the caller who was just on, I understand totally the frustration, but unfortunately we are at a point where there's nothing that we can do as a group, in my opinion, to push this along. This is a world event. And right now the world isn't real happy with the United States. So, we can make a big fuss here and I think it would fall on deaf ears. But that's it. But relax, breathe. We're all going to be wealthy. And hopefully we're going to do great things with our wealth. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to mute you out here and do my little shtick. So, if you're in the forum, I think you can see things posted in the forum, even if you're not a member. You just can't make replies, but you can read. But over in my forum, underneath general discussion, and let me make absolutely sure here, where's it at? Underneath the general discussion tab, and this is an article that's in black and white, it's undisputable. And there's a link down at the bottom that you can click on that will also give you the entire story. This is just a portion, but there's more below it than what's there. So underneath general discussion, you'll find a topic that says President Barack Obama, Monsanto's man in Washington. Now, we all know about GMOs, how they're not good for us. Europe has already banned all GMOs, and Monsanto can't come in over there. But I'm going to read you a list of all the things that Monsanto is into on GMOs. Alfalfa, hay for horses, cattle, or whatever else. They have sugar beets. Look, think about how many things that is. Soybeans. Soybeans and also corn for ethanol have so many applications that's in all of our food that it's definitely unreal. Then we have a company called Syngenta, corn for ethanol. Pioneer is another company for soybeans. Bayer, yes, the company that makes Bayer aspirin, GMO cotton. Here's another good one. A company called Atrion, an anti-clotting agent for milk of transgenic goats. A GMO, what is that? Papaya strain. All these are it's like potatoes. They even want to do potatoes. It's not a good thing. Genetically engineered salmon. So I want you to look at that. These are not good things for us, especially if Europe has kicked out the GMOs. Another one, and I'm going to get the web mistress to put this on my web page. It's about the Georgia Guidestones. Those are not good things either. And the reason I bring these up is a man that had commissioned back in the 80s, 79, or even the 70s to have this made. He's identified as R.C. Christian. These are not good things on the Georgia Guidestone. Here's just one, or I'll read a couple here. And this first one, I want you to think about this. ICO said we've got over 6 billion people in the world. One of the messages from the Georgia Guidestone says they want to maintain humanity under 500 million people. That's a big discrepancy between 6 billion that we have to under 500 million or less. Because now the serfs are many, and we're rising up, and they don't like it. One of the second ones is guide reproduction wisely, improve fitness and diversity. Yeah, that's just the first two. So I just wanted to address that real quick. I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to put a link on my web page so that you can look at that. Things are not good. A guy on Twitter goes, hey, with all the Zim confusion, do we really know if they will actually exchange this currency? We've been told, and we've heard from a couple of people that, yes, they will take it. So, anyway, pastor's not here. Please take a knee. Lord, thank you for providing your divine guidance, whether we hear it or not, for your protection. Thank you for giving us a heart of understanding and ears to hear. Without your Son, Jesus Christ, none of this would be possible. So in his name, amen. And Aiko, what is the last thing that we say? Are you there?
Goodbye.
Uh-oh. Goodbye.
The conference is now completed. Goodbye. Welcome to the conference. Please enter the